Today we're going to do a bit of a hands-on session with Makers Empire. So I hope you've all got your devices there and you're logged into Makers Empire ready to go. If not, we'll have a look at that in a moment. Just a little bit about me before we get started. I've been teaching design and digital technologies for 15 years, and my current role is Learning Manager at Makers Empire. I started working for Makers Empire in January, so pretty new to the company, but I've been using the app in the classroom with reception to Year 6 for the past 10 years, so pretty experienced at using it with kids. Today I'm just going to quickly introduce the company to you for people who don't know much about us, do an overview of the app, and then delve in and see how far we get with making something today. A lot of you are quite new, so we'll introduce the training lab first, and then I'll give you some links to go to for further training, and this presentation will be available to you afterwards, so you'll have access to the links that are in it. So first off, a little bit about Makers Empire. It's been around for 10 years. It was created by 4 people who went to Adelaide Uni together, decided they needed to create an app for kids to be able to actually use to create things rather than using to view videos and things like that. So the vision for the company is that every child is empowered to become a creator, innovator and problem solver, and we really do believe that they can all make their world better. So to achieve that vision, the mission is to develop children's creative confidence and their design thinking skills using our program, which includes our fun and easy to use design software, which is all game-based learning, so it makes it quite engaging for them. We actually have 2 elements to our software. So we've got the 3D app, which we'll look at today. So that's where students go to create things. And we've got the teacher dashboard, which will be covered on our next training session on the 20th of August. But the teacher dashboard is where you go to manage your classes. You can access lots of resources through there. You can allocate challenges to students to do, and you can assess their work. But that's all for a later session. Today we're going to focus on the 3D app. So what I'm going to do now is go into the app itself. I'll just bring that up. And everyone can go in and follow along with me. Can you see the app there? When you first log into the app, you're introduced to the Maker world. So that's what this section is called. It's got a training lab, which will be all colourful. And then if you haven't done the training lab yet, everything else will be greyed out because the rest of the world doesn't open up until the training app is done. So we'll go into the training lab and have a look, because when I had a look at in the chat, it looks like most people or a lot of people haven't done the training lab yet. So let's go in and have a quick look at it. When you go in, it takes you straight to the basic training courses. So there are several courses here. All of the tiles are different game-based learning topics, and they're all, each one teaches a different skill. So the first one, if we have a look at that, actually gets the students to set up their own avatar. So that's a really good learning point for them to talk about why you would use an avatar online and not use your own image online. So you get to talk about cyber safety, but then they go through and they create each section, each part of their avatar. And once they've finished going through their eyes, their nose, etc., then they press finish and they've got their avatar. And we all know kids love to have their own personalised avatars that they use, so they find that really engaging and they want to spend loads of time on it. So when all I want them to do is get that training lab done, I just tell them, please do the bare minimum of the avatar. You can go back later when you've got some spare time and finish it off. Then we've got Where's My Candy? That teaches them how to rotate. Happy Banana teaches them how to zoom, and so on. So they go through all of these, and then when they get to the end, the Maker World has opened for it. Now we're going to go and actually make something today. So I'm hoping if I give you 10 minutes, those people who haven't done this training lab, basic training, 10 minutes to try and get through that. And then I'll go in and we'll start actually making something together. Those people who have done the training lab, so if you haven't done it, get started. If you have done it, you've got a couple of different options. This video room is a series of videos created by students, and they're all how to make something. So you could go into there and pick something you'd like to learn how to make and have a go at that. Or you've got the pro training, which is where you can go and learn a specific skill. So there's lots of different pro trainings in here, and they teach more advanced skills, so how to resize, copy, rotate. Cut is something you might want to have a look at. So there's two ways that the cut tool works. So both of these teach you different skills for that particular tool. So I'm just, like I said, I'll give you 10 minutes now, and we'll get through as much of that as we can, and then we're going to go in and actually make something together. All right, I think we're ready to move on. So even if you haven't finished, so if you're in the training lab, sorry, not pro, if you're in basic training, just need to press the arrow there to get out of it, and then go out again if you need to. You won't necessarily, and just see if you're all colour here now so we can actually create something. Hopefully we are. Just let us know in the chat if you're not. Okay, so we're going to go in and we're going to make a mug for your cuppa. So we'll go into, from here, we'll go into create. So whenever students want to create something, they go into create. Just before I go on, I will just quickly explain the rest of the Maker World to you. So just briefly, Maze Mania is where students can go and they can make mazes in there for each other to do. So it's like, they love doing it, and it's a lot of learning, but it can be a bit distracting in the classroom. You can actually turn it off. So I can let you know how afterwards if you want to know how to turn that off. Then we have our competitions. So we have daily competitions, and we have also monthly competitions. So often students love doing that at home, or you might use that for a makerspace, or it might align with what you're doing in the classroom. This one here is our teacher missions. You can go and create your own short missions for students to do in there. And then Challenge Central is where students go to do the challenge courses that we have. So they're more units of work. So teacher missions are like lesson plans that you can create. Challenge courses are units of work that we've created for them to go through the design thinking process. And they're around a theme, like it might be art, or it might be building structures, or it might be how to write a narrative story. But today we're going to create something. So at the top here, we've got a few different options for creating. The gallery is where you can go and look at other students. So students can look at other students' designs, and then create is where they go to create their own. We've got 3 different modules for creating. Shaper is the one we use most in a primary school. Blocker is more like a Minecraft, like they use cubes to create things with. So that sort of style of block style designs, which is really handy for maths actually, for doing symmetry and rotation and things like that. And then advanced is more for our secondary students, or you might have some year 6s who are advanced who'd like to have a go at it. But today we're going to use Shaper to make our mug. And I'm going to do this a particular way on purpose to teach you a few different skills. So please stop me if I'm going too fast and you need me to slow down or you've got any questions. So when you go into Create, you have different menus of lots of different shapes here. So it starts you off with the basic shapes menu. And if you scroll down, you can see there are quite a few different basic shapes for them to use. And the idea is that in Shaper, we use different shapes and we put them together to create what we want to create. So you've got flat shapes and monster shapes and all sorts of different character parts. If they're making a character for a story, lots of different types of shapes. With these auto parts are for a robot, a HP robot called Otto. So if you had that robot, you can actually 3D print parts for it. And lots of things to have a look at in your own time. The other thing is if we're in shapes, like let's see, advanced shapes or character parts, you can see these locked shapes. Students can use tokens. It's like our in-app currency. It's not actual money to purchase those. So they can unlock them. Often they think they can't, but if they've got enough tokens, then they can. You can give them tokens and they gain tokens just by making things in the app. It gives them tokens for that. So we'll start in basic shapes and we're going to start with a cylinder. And when we have a look at the cylinder, when it's selected, so I've got it selected, there's a few different tools we've got in here. One is this cube. So sometimes you're having trouble navigating around. So this cube can be one that's a good one to remember. I mean, you can navigate just by clicking and dragging in the space, but sometimes the cube makes it a bit easier, especially for the younger kids. Then on each shape, you've got 4 handles. This is a menu. We'll go and have a look at that later. This one here is for resizing or stretching the model. This one's for rotating, and this one's for moving it around. So they can actually move it this way. They've got undo as well over here. Always remind them of that. Or they can move it by using the move tool, which will only move one way or the other. So this one here we're going to use first, which is our resize one. And you'll notice it's got its own little tool here, the little green button. So when I press that, what do you notice happens to that resize shape? So what you should see here is that we've got 4 arrows or we've got 2 arrows. So when it's got 4 arrows, that means when I resize, it resizes the whole thing and keeps its proportions. When it's got 2 arrows, I can stretch it. Okay, so I can stretch it one way or the other. Okay, we're going to have the 2 arrows, so make sure you press that to have 2 arrows, and then we're going to make it just a bit bigger. I'll just make it back, put it back in the middle. But then one thing we need to know when we're working in a 3D space is just because I've made it bigger that way and it looks right, doesn't mean it looks right this way. So then I need to come round. In fact, if I look from the top, I can tell really well, easily, if I've got a relatively round shape, and it gives me the dimensions so I can try and get them roughly round. I'm just going to pop that in the center just because I like to have it in the center. Okay. So hopefully we've got it about the size. Don't worry too much about the size at the moment. Just get it so it's looking right for you in your view. So the next thing we want to do is we're going to add a handle to our cup. And we're going to do that using the lettering tool because I want to show you how to use letters. So over here, underneath these menus, you've got some different options. So this is free-form drawing. So kids can just draw their own shape and it will create a 3D shape out of it. This one's for text. This one's to import other designs in. So if they've got a design they've already made and they want to import it in and change it, they can use that one for it. And this one, they can go and actually unlock some more shapes from the shop. They don't tend to use that. They tend to do it this way with the through the padlocked shapes that they want. So we're going to use text, and we're going to make a C for our cup handle. You've got different fonts there. Arial's probably the best one. Okay, so once you type C, just press enter or click outside, and you'll see you've got a C on top. Just going to click on that C and make it a different colour so that I can see it. Because I actually I'm going to need to rotate that now and put it on the side of my cup so that it looks more like a handle. Now, the rotation tool is a little tricky. Once you get used to it, it's okay. So if I'm looking at it from the top, it's going to rotate it that way. Okay, the way that it rotates depends on how you're looking at it. If I'm looking at it, just going to bring it out here so you can see it. If I'm looking at it from the side and I try to rotate, it's going to rotate it that way. Okay, now I want to rotate it from this angle. So you need to be looking at your C from side on, and maybe just we can make it a bit bigger, a bit wider while we're here so we can see it better. And if I rotate it from side on and try and get roughly 90 degrees. I'll do this again for you in a sec. So now that's how I want it to be, because I want to actually put it on the side of my cup like that. Okay, let's go back and show you that again. So when I'm rotating my C, I want to be able to look at it from side on, from that exact angle, and then it will rotate the way that I want it to rotate. So that it's now going to sit on the side of my cup. So once you've got it rotated, then the idea is we're going to pop it onto the side of our cup. We might make it nice and wide so it's nice to hold. If it's too thin, one is it won't print very well. It can break off too easily. And the other one, it's not very nice to hold when it's thin like that. So we're going to make it nice and thick so it'll print well and we can hold it easily. And then the next thing is I could only probably get one finger through that. So I probably want to go to the side this way and I'm going to stretch it. So I'm going to make sure I've got my 2 arrows there and stretch it up. And then just move it around, and I might want to stretch it out. Now to stretch it out, if I click on that handle, it gives me 4 handles around the outside of my C. So I can use the outside one to bring it out. And then if I want to move it, I need to click off of it and then use the move tool or use the actual C itself until it looks like a handle. Now remember, if you make a mistake, you've got that undo button, so you can go back a few times and try again if you need to. All right, we might just move on because the next bit's even trickier. And that is, we need to now cut a hole in it so that we can put our tea or our coffee in there. Only allowed to have tea or coffee, right? Nothing else. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to create another cylinder that sits inside this one. And that cylinder we will use to cut a hole. Okay, so to create another cylinder, we're going to click on this one. And this is where we get to use the menu tool. So in the menu, you've got a few different things. If I wanted to delete the shape, just that shape, not the whole thing, that's where I go to delete it, particularly if I'm on an iPad. I don't have a keyboard. This is the hole cutting shape. We'll use that one in a minute. Magnet, I might have time to show you at the end, but if I wanted to put my initials on here, I might need to use the magnet to attach them to this surface. That's what it does. Mirror, we kind of know what that means. Copy, and then this one's grouping shapes together. We'll do that at the end. So we're going to copy this one. So let's make a duplicate. I need to be able to see that really clearly. So again, I'm going to come over and change it to a different color so I can see my duplicate separately to my original. And I need to make it taller, because if I don't, I'm going to lose it in a moment. So I need to make it so it will sit above that so I don't lose it. And then I'm going to sit on roughly on top as close as I can. Doesn't matter if you're not quite right to the other one. Okay, then I'm going to move it around so I can see it from the top. And I'm going to use this resize stretch tool. I'm going to keep it as stretch, and I'm going to make it smaller and then move it so that it's sitting inside the other one as best I can. Kind of like that. Maybe move it up a bit. Okay, so when I cut that hole using the blue shape will disappear and there'll be a hole where it is. So I want to make sure that the wall around the edge of my cup is reasonably, and it's not sort of thinning out on one side like that. And once I've got that, then I'm going to go back to the side. I need to click on it because I also want to make sure that it doesn't go all the way through my cup, because otherwise when I cut a hole, that's going to go all the way through and it won't hold any tea or coffee. So I need to move that up. So I'm going to have another wall at the bottom. So this outside part will form the outside wall of my cup. Give you a moment to get there. So at the top, I want to be able to see the wall around the edge, and from the side, when I've clicked on it, I should be able to see that there's space at the bottom, so it will have a base to it. And now I want to cut my hole. So make sure I've got that blue, that my middle shape is selected. I don't want to have the cup shape selected because that will delete that outside section. I want to delete the inside section. So make sure that's selected. Go to menu, go to the two circles to cut. It shows you a preview of what it's going to look like. So you can check that first, and then you can press tick, and that cuts your hole in it. And then I want to group those two shapes together so they become one. So I'm just going to click on one. It doesn't matter which one. Go into the menus, group, select the other shape so they're both selected, and then I'll press tick, and that will group them. So the first thing we did was we duplicated. There we go. So I selected it, went to the menu, duplicate. Then I changed the color. Then I extended it upwards and moved it on top of the other cylinder. Then I moved it inside. So it's that inside at the top. Yeah, no worries. I can show you in a minute. And then, sorry, that was to Irene. Then I moved up from the side so that my cylinder is sitting inside, and I can see it's going to have a base. And then I pressed the cut tool, made sure it's going to cut the hole where I want it to, and press tick. And if your handle's sitting inside, you can move it out like that so it's not inside. So just move that out a bit. Or alternatively, I can click this one, this tool, the stretch tool, and I can just move the inside a little bit if I wanted to, if that works better for you. Okay, and then to group it, click on one shape, menu, click on the little chain at the bottom, click on the other shape and press tick, and they become one shape. So one thing that took me a while to work out is to ungroup is just the reverse of that. Click on my shape, click on the menu, click on the group tool, and then I can tick them, click them all to put them in shadow and press tick, and then they become two separate shapes again. Okay, once you've finished, press finish and make sure they call it something. It makes it much easier for you to find it when you want to print it out, and then press done. Now, one thing for students to know is just because it says finish doesn't mean they can't go in and edit it later. So if I wanted to edit that later, I'd go into my designs, choose my mug and press the little edit tool here, and then I can make changes to it. So I might decide I wanted to put my initial on it. And let's just try this. So I want to put that initial on this surface. So I'm going to go to the menu, magnet, and press the surface. It automatically puts it there, and all I have to do is rotate it so it's the right way up. Just show you that again. So I've got it there. Okay, I'm not expecting you to follow along. I just wanted to show you that you can do this. Magnet, click on the surface I want it to magnetize to. And then this saves all that messing around with rotating and trying to get it into the right place. And that's got my L on it. And then I can just press finish again. And now it's saved my updated version for me. So these are all the instructions I just went through with you. So there's troubleshooting in there. So if you're having any problems, it shows you how to fix them. But then also at the end, we have some how-to videos there. So I've got a link there for you to go to for how-to, and there's how to make a coffee mug. And there's also how to make curved text if you want to go the extra advanced version and put curved text on it. Okay, so that will be there for you as well in that.